Welcome to Outlier on Air. This show is dedicated to disruptors, rule breakers, and big thinkers. Here at Outlier, we help you start, grow, and scale your business. We have a co-working space called Outlier Labs, where we welcome entrepreneurs and mentors from all over who come and teach our local entrepreneurs. We're going to share a presentation with you today from Kimberly Bordonaro of Brandspiration. Kimberly comes from LA. She's a branding expert, and at 20 years old, she quit college. She moved to Miami Beach and became the youngest public relations and marketing director for the Miami Beach Chamber of Commerce. How did she do it? By employing a brand strategy for herself inspired by Beasty Boy lyrics. Now she's named by Huffington Post as one of the nation's top 4 personal branding experts. Kimberly shares some great perspective in this presentation that I'll play for you now.
All right, so today, here's what we're going to discuss. We're going to discuss the secrets of superstar branding. Specifically, we're going to learn how to amplify our business using what I call the A&R perspective. So, 514,000. That's the number of new businesses that launch every month. Now, that's according to the Hoffman Index of Entrepreneurial Activity. Here's the thing, according to Statistics Brain, 1 in 4 will fail within 1 year. And by year 4, 50% will fail. Now I have even worse news for you, and I hate to start off on a good point, so that's not really good. But 90% of tech startups fail. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about launching your business. Are you setting yourself up for failure? Now, the number one reason why startups fail is a lack of vision and planning. And with vision and planning, what that really comes down to is creating a brand strategy. Most entrepreneurs don't think that brand strategy is important. They think, well, a brand is a logo. I can just go to a designer, create a logo, throw that up. Things are going to be great, right? A logo is part of your image. Your image is part of your brand. That's where that confusion comes in. But your logo is not your brand. Okay? Your brand is the experience that people can expect from you. All right? So if you were actually to just take the word brand out and replace that with the word reputation, or what you're known for, that's what a brand is. And as a business, your number one thing should be about putting a strategy together to make sure that you're always giving the best experience to your clients. That you're making it in such a way that they're going to want to know you, be with you, buy from you. Ultimately, buy from you, right? So, let me ask you, Stones or the Beatles? Stones.
Stones all the way.
I know. And you know what, guys? It's okay to not like Hager. Come on. Hager or Roth? You can either Tupac. Interrupt, made me do it, right? Alright. And then, here's the thing. It doesn't matter if, what genre of music you like. There's always going to be superstars in genres. There's always going to be, a choice there. Somebody that you really resonate with. And, the thing that you have to remember is that your audience also has choices. And what you want to do is to create an emotional reaction within your audience where you become the Stones, where you become Hagar, or Roth, whatever your brand is about. So, I love the Rolling Stones. I'm a huge Stones fan as well. My cat's name is Jagger. My other cat is Diddley, because Bo Diddley influenced the Rolling Stones. So, here's a quote from a song, if you guys are familiar with Mixed Emotions, right? Where, he goes, "You're not the only ship that's docked on this ocean. You're not the only one with mixed emotion." And your clients have mixed emotions. And they realize that you're not the only choice out there. So, the question really comes to, how are you going to grab the spotlight and stand out? And so my answer, button your lip, button your coat. Life is a party, right? I just totally like missed that quote. But let's rock and roll, right? That's how you're gonna grab the spotlight. You have to think of yourself as a rock star, or a pop star, or a rapper, whatever it is that you want to think of yourself as. But you have to think about your company. What will you do to grab the spotlight and really get to the top of your game? What's that going to take? Well, today I'm going to teach you how to transform yourself from just being a company to a powerful brand. I'm going to show you the simple tactics that record labels use when they're launching guys like this. Look, GNR. There you go, buddy. So, here's the thing. I mean, these guys all had to be discovered at one point, just like your company needs to be discovered. And who discovered them? Typically, it was an A&R rep. Because label companies, record labels, they know the importance of finding talent and finding hits, finding songs that are going to make their artists popular. Not all artists write their songs, just FYI if you don't know, right? So an A&R rep is responsible for finding talent and finding songs that people are going to like. Just like your clients need to find out about you, you should look at your brand the same way that an A&R rep would qualify a potential singer or qualify a potential hit. So if there's one thing that you take away from today, you could actually tune out after this if you want to. I hope you don't, but you could. It's this. Think like an A&R rep. Okay? Think about your brand objectively. And so today we're going to go over how exactly does an A&R rep think?
Sorry, just real quick, can you clarify what an A&R rep is?
A&R rep. So the record labels they set up a department that's called Artists and Repertoire. And so the A&R rep, or the executive, is the guy that goes out to the CD bars, that gets all the demos and stuff sent to them, and it's their job to find the best of the best. Now here's the interesting thing. So millions, really, of artists and musicians and lyricists, they think that they have what it takes to make a hit. I mean, every week these guys are like, I created the best hit this week. I have what's going to be the next #1 single. I have to find, I have to find a record company that's going to produce this. I have to find an artist that will sing this. Everybody thinks that they have a hit. Those 514,000 people that came on board this month with their business, people don't launch businesses because they don't think it will be a hit. Everybody thinks that it will be a hit. So an A&R executive has a really sweet job, right? I mean, like, they get to go out, network, party, meet new acts. I mean, like, how cool is that, right? But they actually have a really hard job, because when they assess somebody, they're banking on them, they're gambling on them, and so for them, if they make a mistake, not only does the artist fail, but that guy's job is on the line, the A&R rep, right? Other people that go into making a record, their jobs are on the line. That's a really heavy responsibility. And so this guy has to say no a lot. So it's not like really that easy of a job, And a lot of times clients will come to me and they'll be like, I have the best product, I have the best service, I have the best brand out there, a new company concept. And that's great, maybe you do. But there's one question that you have to ask yourself. That's my kid, by the way, he's a rock star. Is it worthy of producing a hit? When you think of a hit, a hit single, the first single, that comes out, think of your brand in terms of being a hit single. Are you able to create an experience around your brand that's going to be a hit? And the second question, the zinger, are you willing to bet $1 million on it? Would you gamble $1 million of your own money on that concept, on your brand? most entrepreneurs already are, right? You're putting your sweat, your labor, all your time, your heart into your business. You're already putting a lot of that work in there. But if you had $1 million on the table today, and you couldn't invest it in your company, you just had to bet if your company was going to win, would you bet $1 million on your company that it would be able to win and create a connection with your audience that people want to buy and rally around? So that's the first thing. So, let's talk about, I totally forgot my thing. There you go. So, here's the thing. Talent alone doesn't cut it. That's the thing that an A&R rep knows. Everybody thinks they're talented. You have to have a hit. So that's what you have to, the first thing that you have to think about if you're looking at your brand from an A&R perspective. So, what does a hit sound like? This is the big reason why we had to get the sound up. So I really hope that you like what I'm about to, otherwise I'm falling flat. You guys can turn it out at me. Right? So let's take a moment. We're not going to listen to the entire song, but let's look at what is the #1 hit today. It's been the #1 for the last 6 weeks. It actually came out last year, so it has some longevity there. And the guy that created this hit, he was nominated for 7 Grammys. He has been producing since 1992 with Rex and Effects, right? Rump Shaker, I don't know if you remember that one. That was his first hit. He produced with Teddy Riley, who found him. And he's been a pretty big inspiration for me. So I hope you guys like it. Feel free to dance. It's like Pharrell Williams. Okay? It better start. And it doesn't start. Oh. Here we go.
You have to turn it up if you want people to dance.
Because I'm happy alone. If you feel like home is out, I'm happy alone. If you feel like happiness is because I'm happy alone.
I'm not gonna end it because you're all here singing, right? Annoying speaker. Do I know how to stop this, right? Okay. Okay. So why is he a hit? What actually makes a hit? If you ask an A&R rep, they'll say, oh, I just know it when I hear it, right? You hear that song, you know that it's going to be a hit, right? And it's upbeat pop. Who doesn't want to dance? Apparently a lot of you. but there's actually a formula that goes into making a hit. And there's actually criteria that an A&R rep, even if they're not consciously aware, like they're going through their checklist, that they go through to create a hit. So, first things first, they need to know that the artist or the song is going to cut through the clutter. All right? So what does that mean, cut through the clutter? That means, are they going to stand out? Is there something about them, that feeling that you got, like that first time that you heard, I don't know, the first time that I heard Beasty Boys, I was 1986 on a hayride at Philadelphia Zoo. I remember that feeling, because I wanted to fight for my right to party. I was so sad. Right? So, you know that first feeling. That first time I heard like Smashing Pumpkins, hello. 9 Inch Nails. That was high school. That was intense, right? That was a 9 Inch Nails. Right? So, so here's the thing. I mean, there are certain artists, certain songs that cut through the clutter and just, pinpoint, laser focus. People are like, I love that song, right? Not everybody. Some people. So, here's what an artist is first looking at. Number 1, you gotta be good. I said earlier, talent alone doesn't cut it, but you have to have talent. You can't just suck. You can't just put a product out there that doesn't help people, You've got to have talent. You have to have something about you or your company, product, service, something that's where they say, I knew that person was going to be a hit from the first time I heard about their concept. So that's talent, right? You have to be able to do it. Like I said, a lot of people have talent. The next thing is, you have to find the holes. And by finding the holes, so, an A&R executive looks at a genre, looks at a market and says, there's opportunity here. When everybody is, let me cheat and look at my example here. When everybody is going for Bush, right? Can you tell when I was like, in the 90s? Anyway, if everybody's going for Bush or, I don't know, Smashing Pumpkins, if there's just like a song that comes out, it's first to market, everybody rallies again around it, and don't you notice like all of a sudden all the songs on the radio sound the same? People are like, oh, I'm gonna do what that guy's doing because he's doing it and it's working, it's gonna work for me. Now an A&R rep knows that's dead. That's dead. All those people that were second to market, they suck. They suck. It's very rare that somebody can come out second to market and really create a brand about themselves. That's a very hard feat. You want to be first to market. So what do you do? Well, an A&R rep knows that if everybody's going for, Pearl Jam, have Oasis come out, right? Oasis came out, you have like British pop stars and everything at that point, it was more of like American grunge, right? But then you have like these British pop stars that come out, kind of sound like the Beatles, right? They kind of have that vibe, but they have a different edge to them, rough and tumble, Did I just say British? British, not Irish. But like, that fighting spirit, right? I love Oasis, that's one of my favorites. But anyway, that's what you do. You have to find the opportunities. You have to, find the holes in your market. So, something like that would be in the marketing world. Everybody right now, if everybody's talking about how to promote yourself, and you're a marketer, what do? Do you talk about how to promote yourself? No, you're still blending with everybody else. That's dead, right? How do you find the holes? Well, what's something that the industry, that the market is underserved with? Well, logistically, ideologically, how to convert. Now you've got, promotion, you have people coming to your website. Let's talk about conversions. So who do you think is going to become the next industry rock star? The guy talking about conversions. Because he's standing out, he's different. He's talking about a different industry. He's niche-ified. So, you could do that by, is that a word? I make up words all the time, by the way. Yeah. Kind of like George Bush, Bushisms. I come up with Kimisms. I don't know if that's really something to talk about, but hey, I'm a college dropout, I'm banking. But anyway, so, here's the thing. You have to look at the market, and there's a few ways that you can find the holes. It could be, doing more of a market segment. Is there a particular person within the industry and within that market that's not being served? Maybe like when I used to work with loan officers and real estate agents and CPAs on how to develop their brands, especially in the community. Because I know some small businesses are like, I'm a local brand, this doesn't apply to me, it applies to you. Okay, so what I used to do is I would take a loan officer who, come on, at the end of the day, they're selling money. That's a commodity, right? How do you differentiate yourself? So I would take that loan officer and look at them and find out what makes them unique, what they're passionate about, what they're doing, and then I would look at their competition. What's everybody else doing? And then I'd say, who are they not serving? So if everybody's going after easy loans, you'll be the loan officer that goes after the hard loans. The ones that nobody can fill with problems, right? If everybody's going after new home buyers, go after the empty nesters, right? Look at what you can do to differentiate. If your entire industry, like the banking industry, is known for using the color blue. You use orange because that's the opposite color and you will stand out when people are looking through websites. So, find what makes you different. If there's nothing that makes you different, because I know how that feels. When you're just looking at yourself like, let's be honest, I kind of look just like everybody else. I'm offering what everybody else offers. It's up to you to create that need, to create that differentiation, to find the hole. And so the next thing that you do, once you find the hole, that's when you create the edge, right? That's when you look at your brand and say, like I said earlier, what can I do to put some style and attitude to this brand? How can I make it different? If everybody in your industry is serious, you come out as the entertainer brand like I did, right? I mean, it's really interesting. Everybody wants to be like seen as like, oh yeah, I'm a business exec and I'm really trustworthy and reliable and I give great service. Well, that's great. That's expected. You know what I mean? Like people expect that. You're not going to make a brand off of expectations because if you're not feeling that, they're not going to use you and you're just going to fall flat eventually. So if you come out with a different personality, a different style, something that's fresh and surprising that people don't expect, that's when you start cutting through the clutter. That's when people say, that person, I knew that person from day one was going to be a hit, right? So that's cutting through the clutter. So let's go on to another thing on this subject about what an A&R rep, considers. They're looking for reactive hits. Okay, now, I say don't be a sucker MC, all right? I know, white girls, right? So, in my industry, one of the things that I did that garnered a lot of attention was I wrote a blog post for another blog. So if I'm writing for other blogs, I'm going to give them my best stuff, by the way. So you won't find it on my website. Look up Steve Feed. Look up Sucka MC branding. All right, so I say sucker MCs, whatever you want to call it, are posers. They're the people in the industry. Now, the people that I help serve are people that want to be influential in their markets. They want to be the superstars, right? So they'll usually come to me and they'll say, oh, Kimberly, I love Marie Forleo's brand. I love her style. I just want to be just like her, Or, oh, I like, Derek Halpern. They get very specific about who they like and what they want to be like. And maybe you've done that yourself. Maybe you've seen a logo, or you've seen a concept, or you've seen some wording somewhere, and you're like, that was really cool. I want to do that now. Well, before we said, you don't want to do that because then you're a copycat, And a lot of times, especially in the marketing world, the people that are trying to make themselves like all popular, excuse my language, they want to shit. They don't know shit. They're just copying what other people say and just regurgitating, they're throwing it up on you. So like I said, when everybody's talking about like how to promote yourself, how to generate web traffic. Those guys are not just copying people, they're sucker MCs. Don't be a sucker MC. Be original, right? So here's the thing, how do you do that? I just spit. By the way, if you can tell, I don't take myself too seriously. I take branding seriously. But so, how do you do that? How do you avoid becoming a sucker MC? Especially if you're like I was, without a degree or experience, right? You have to have a different perception on things. You have to kind of find your twist, find your own voice, find your own style, right? But you want it to be reactive, causing an extreme emotional response. Okay? Opposite of reactive, passive. Passive songs don't get played. Passive songs try to please everybody. Passive artists wants to be the nice friend guy that everybody loves. You know? What's an example of a passive artist? He's had some success, right? I mean, come on, some of these guys do have limited success, let's be honest here. Nick Lachey, passive. The most interesting thing about him was he was married to Jessica Simpson, who was a twin, right? It's true, right? Well, what does he do? He can't get a hit. He can't get, like, launch his album in solo career. He struggles. By the way, Jessica Simpson, when she was on her career, passive. She wanted to be just like Britney and Christina, and she was trying to fit in. You know who came out and kicked ass? Pink. When Pink came out, she was not the typical pop star. She had pink hair. She talked about beating up boys. Britney Spears was scared of her, right? You know, she was like, she's in the same hotel, I'm gonna go. Now, Pink is from Philadelphia, so I have a little bias here. That's what it's for. But you know, so that's what I call the Pink principle. You know, be different. Find a way to talk, you know, if everybody's talking about how to please your man, you're like, Pink, I don't need a man. What your man got to do with me, right? So, you know, that's what you want to do with reactive. Now, number one pushback that I get from my clients is, oh my God, I don't want to offend people. I gotta make people like me. I'm new to business. I need business. I need to take everybody that comes my way. I'm gonna take everybody. Dak, you're passive. You're passive. You know, I don't need you as a client. What do you mean, Kimberly, you don't need me as a client? I don't need you as a client because I have clients lined up that fit my mold, that fit who I do work with. The fact that I do that is reactive. People are like, you're not going to work with me? Oh, when I do this, you need to work with me. Do you see how that works? You don't have to be reactive and offensive all the time, but you have to stand for something. You have to know what your brand values are. You have to know what your brand is all about. And you have to be willing to say no to people and to be reactive. You have to have a viewpoint that sometimes might be polarizing. Find your sucker MCs in your industry and make them the scapegoat. If you can find the people in your industry, now you don't want to point out a single person, like, oh, that person sucks. You know, people are going to be like, what an asshole. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, that guy was like totally bad-mouthing Jim. You know, I'm not going to work with him. No, you don't want to do that. You want to find a group of people that you could scapegoat, or a concept, something that people could rally behind and really, you know, get with your brand. Everybody gonna love you? Absolutely not. What was his name? Frank Zappa. He discovered Alice Cooper. Alice Cooper's made some money, right? Not my money, but he's made some money, you know? I think the guy's kind of scary, personally. But when Frank Zappa went to a nightclub and heard Alice Cooper, you know, on stage, had him on stage, everybody started walking out. At the end of the set, 4 people remained. Alice Cooper's dinner. Okay? Everybody walked out. Frank Zappa stayed. Well, here's the thing. You would probably say, I'm not going to invest in this guy. He's not going to make a hit. Everybody walked out. He's not going to make a hit. A typical person would say no. A great A&R executive, or somebody, you know, within the industry like Frank Zappa that can make you, would say, if he polarized that many people where they hated him, walked out, there's going to be a group of people that will love him. And that's what he banked on. He banked $1 million on Alice Cooper. Did a good job, right? So, yeah, so that's the thing. You want to create a reactive hit. So now that you've created the concept of your brand, you've researched your competition, you've highlighted your talent, you know that you're good at doing it, so you're serving a need, guys, I really hope that you validate your business, by the way. I hope that before you sell anything, that you go out and find your audience and you pre-sell and validate. You know, too many people, a lot of those people that fail, they just had a great concept, everybody's gonna love it, they didn't launch it because they didn't validate, okay? So make sure that you have talent that people want, you know, that you cut through the clutter, that you find the holes, and that you create an edge, preferably a reactive edge. All right, now the next thing that we're going to discuss, and this is, you know, probably the number one thing that people worry about when they're launching their brand, especially online. You know, how do I find an audience and grow an audience? You know, and how do I become influential? You know, especially if I don't know anybody, or I have a core audience, but I really want to take it mainstream. I want to go get a hit. So this is called research and rotation. And we're going to get into it in just a minute. But research and rotation is basically, you know, a record label hires departments and radio stations hire departments to do research to determine and validate whether a song is going to work. Okay? And if it works, they will put it into rotation, they will put it on the radio. So that's what research and rotation actually means. So, you know, an A&R rep knows that you need to make a product, you know, or service that your audience is willing to buy, right? So they know that they need to find a song that people are going to want to buy. They have to get that hit that I've been talking about, that hit single. So let's go back to that for just 1 minute. Why a hit single? Why not just a great song? A hit single is what makes an artist marketable. It helps them create a brand around the artist. A hit single introduces a new artist to the world and tells the world what that artist is all about. A new hit single for an established artist on their latest album talks about the new direction that that artist is going with their album. You know, so essentially it's, again, introducing what the brand is all about, what their artistic direction is all about to an audience. And your brand, as I said earlier, it does the same thing. So it can make or break your career. And it's just not that you have to have a great song. You have to have a great song that people are willing to sing, dance to, buy. Because when someone becomes an uber fan of the Beasty Boys, well, guess what? I'm going to pose in my headshots with the Beasty Boys. I'm going to buy a Beasty Boy watch when it comes out, and I'm not even going to question the price. Right? And then my friends are going to know that I love the Beasty Boys so much that for my birthday, they start sending me merchandise. And I'm going to go buy their albums, I'm going to go to their concerts, and guess what I'm doing? I'm making the label company money. So that's why you need a hit. So your brand makes you money, right? Now, by the way, when MCA passed away, I had hundreds of people emailing me and posting on social media, sending their condolences to me. And my cousin was like, is he your brother or something? Like, but you know, that's it. I don't stop them. I can't really tell you much about like their family or where they live or anything like that. I'm not crazy. I just really like their music. And I went in a little bit earlier before why. You know, that was really the concept that launched my career. Was I took Beastie Boy lyrics when I would sit in my car and cry because I didn't know how I was going to make a career. And my mother hated me at that point. Like, you just drop out of college and move to a city where you don't know anybody. You know? So I would listen to the Beastie Boys, and I would hear lyrics like, got ski schemes, schematics, blueprints on file. You have to have the dreams and make it all worthwhile. Well, that makes sense. I have dreams. I gotta put some schemes and schematics in place. You know? When my girlie shakes her hip, she sure gets funky. I'm just joking. That is not one of the things that inspired me after hours. Right? Okay. So let's talk about how to instantly connect with your audience. Because as I always say, research and rotation. Right? So the first thing, I guess, I just realized my little icons are not coming through. There's a blooper that you can tweet about. Okay, so market research. The first thing that you have to do to create, once you have your brand together, you've done your competitive research, well, you have to do market research. You have to find out about your audience. But how do you find out about your audience? Especially if you're new and you're like, dude, I don't have a budget. I'm broke, right? Like, what can I do to kind of get some market research going? Because I'm not going to hire a market research firm. Come on. New startups don't do that. So, what do? First of all, you do what's called content mining. Content mining is by looking up your industry or your topic or something along those lines on Amazon book reviews, for instance. And make a spreadsheet and start going through, look for some, the books that have maybe like 3 or 4 star ratings. You don't have 5 stars, that's all their friends, right? Oh, it's a great book, buy it. Right? But like 3 or 4 star ratings. Somebody that has kind of like a reaction hit book, and start looking at what the customers are actually saying about the book. What did they like? What didn't they like? What were they hoping the book was going to answer? What are some of the problems that they're having? Look for those type of quotes when you're content mining. You can do that also by going to your competitor's website if you want to be shady like I am, right? Go to your competitor's website. Like I said, not to copy them. Never copy your competition. That sucks. That's not going to say. Find out their testimonials. What are their clients saying? Now, I'm not talking about testimonials like, oh my God, this was the greatest service ever. I'm talking about the real testimonials that grab you where it's like, well, at first I was hesitant because X, Y, but then I did Z and I made $1 million, right? I mean, you want to find the testimonials that actually give you some insight behind their emotions of why they purchased. And then go find where your audience, where else are they getting information, right? So a lot of times, entrepreneurs will go to Forbes.com or entrepreneur.com, some of the major publications, and within most industries, there are major publications that produce information. Download their media kit. They took all the research for you. They can tell you all about demographics. They tell you all about your audience. You share the same audience. So, that's another trick that you could do. You could go to Facebook groups, Quora, Yahoo, forums. You can go to Popper blogs, look at the comments. Content mining. Find out a little bit more about the emotions and the behaviors and the ideas that your customers have. And then of course do your own surveys. If you have a website, go to qualaroo.com or SurveyMonkey or any of those things. Put up a survey that when you come in, they can answer a few questions for you for market research. Look at some of those. And then of course, interview your clients, interview your prospects. Get on the phone with them. A lot of people, I don't know why, but they're scared to talk to their customers. Like, that's the best thing that you could do. Sit down, ask them, what's the biggest struggle that you have right now regarding, enter your topic. What's one victory? What would one victory look like to you regarding, enter your topic? Here, okay? So do some market research. Then you're going to want to create a customer profile, an avatar, a persona. You're going to want to get very specific. Create an idea in your head about what your customer is all about. Who is that customer? You know, give it a name. Give it if it's, you know, 36-year-old Jack from Tennessee, motivated to, you know, ride dirt bikes, you know, needs some, he's a hobbyist, needs some inexpensive parts. Wife's concerned about him breaking a leg and not coming home to take care of the kids. Put them to bed at night, right? That's a customer profile. Get very specific. So when you create your copy, when you create the words that you use, the images that you use, the colors that you use for your brand, that whole image with logo thing, it talks to your audience. So they're saying, hey, that was made for me. So then the final thing that you want to then do is create a value proposition. This is your key differentiator. This is what highlights what makes you different from your competitors. So when your audience is online, coming to your website, or you're meeting somebody at a networker and you're talking about what you do, you can pinpoint exactly what makes you different, what's exclusive to you, you know, what's only you. You're the fastest, smartest, I don't know, cheapest, no, it's not cheapest, least expensive, right? But you know, whatever it is that's highly desirable to your audience and your competition doesn't do that you can say is exclusive, that's what you want to do. That's what you do on your value proposition. Get to the point, make it easily remembered and specific, so people don't have a question in their mind what the benefit of using you is to them. So, you know, here's a little bit more about value propositions. A value proposition in the record industry is called a 10-second call out. So remember I told you like radio stations will do research? So sometimes they have a song on radio for a little bit. And, you know, the radio station wants to know, you know, what's their main thing? We need sponsors. That's how they make their money. They want people that will sponsor them. So advertisers. So we want songs that will get people to the record, to the station, to have them listen, and we want to know that the song is going to keep them there, right? So what they do is what's called a 10-second call out. They get a bunch of listeners together and they play a song for them that's only 10 seconds long. And within those 10 seconds, they ask the customer, they ask the listener, do you know that song? Yes. No. If they don't know the song, guess who's not getting reputation? It's brand awareness. Okay? So just like a 10-second call out, and then our rep knows you need the hook in the beginning. You need to grab attention within that 10 seconds. You have to get people behind you and interested in your song right away, because it's not going to make it to rotation on a radio station if it doesn't. So for you, on your website, the biggest mistake that I see entrepreneurs do is they put a really weak, you know, value proposition as their headline. Now, these are great value propositions. They get straight to the point, they're succinct, they talk about what's exclusive to them or what makes it different. It's all benefits driven for their clients. So a customer coming here to Zendesk who's looking for help, you know, in managing, you know, customers online, answering support, things like that, you know, relationships between businesses and their customers can be hard. Zendesk makes it easier. It's not complicated. They know exactly what the pain point is for their customers and what they're looking for. What, you know, is exclusive to them or what they're positioning themselves as. We make it easier. Easier than our competition, easier than what you're already doing. That's exclusive to us. So, you know, Hitler, the fastest, easiest way to plan travel. Kissmetrics. Google Analytics tells you what's happening. Kissmetrics tells you who's doing it. BidSketch. Create professional client proposals in minutes. This grabs an audience. And you might not be their ideal client, and that's fine, because they're not marketing to you. They're marketing to their ideal client, the best customer that's going to pay them, right? So that's an example. On your website, and anything that you do, make sure that you're benefits focused and what's specific to you. So how do you get maximum impact? Make your hook clear and immediate. All right, so let's see here. So as I said, the second part of R&R, by the way, that's a star. Not a second. Anyway, so the second part of R&R, or research and rotation, is rotation. And as I alluded before, that's called radio, right? Radio play. Getting your hit on rotation on the radio. Now, an A&R rep knows to break a new artist, they need to get that artist, that song, to break a new hit. They need to put it on the radio. Now, everybody here is like, really, Kimberly? Have you heard about series? Right? Have you heard about, all the like, easy to find, create your own playlist places? Yeah, that's great. But you know what? They suck for artists. And they suck for us too. Because generally speaking, we still go to the radio to find a new artist. That's where we're going to find them. So if you're a tastemaker, yeah, you're checking out radio, you're going to indie rock shows, you're doing, whatever. So, they know that they need a radio-friendly hit, that they have to bring it to radio stations. Your radio stations are the people in your industry that are influential. Okay, so remember how I said earlier, you don't want to like totally bash on somebody, but you want to still be reactive. If somebody has a same target audience as you, they might be a competitor, or they just might serve the same market. Find ways to get in their world. Guest blog, interview, like I did for Outlier magazine, right? Find opportunities to promote your brand and your message, your hit, with radio stations. That's how you find new fans. When I did a guest post for Erica, Italiano, I can say, I'm not Italian, by the way. If you can't say Bordonaro, I am not going to hate you. My last name is Phillips, right? So that guy taking my picture over there. But anyway, so, Erica is huge in my industry. And if I was not thinking like an A&R rep, I'd be like, oh, I hate her. She takes all my clients away. She does what I do. No, I create an edge. I create something different. And then somebody like Erica takes notice, or I reach out to her, whatever, 10 minutes. I reach out to her, and then she has me do a guest post on her blog. That day that I did a guest post on her blog, I had 700 people sign up on my blog. Lots of traffic coming over. She's a radio station. I still have people that come out. What's something else? This is really simple. All my, entrepreneurs, not all entrepreneurs, but a lot of entrepreneurs go to Forbes.com. So I find an article on Forbes that I can create a really good, comment on. Hopefully the writer will like my comment and highlight it at the top, which I've done. I have new fans coming to my site. It's about being strategic with where you're placing your brand message. You could find, for instance, I was meeting with somebody this morning. He does motorcycle parts, for X game bikes, right? So we were talking about, aren't a lot of those guys like really into fashion? Like they're into, not like fashion, right? But they're like really behind brands. They get really behind brands. They're brand loyal. And so usually they'll like a label that they'll wear. Why not go to that label and offer them a free discount or a $0 partnership, something that would benefit their clients and send them your way. So that's finding a radio station. All right, we're almost done. So, the thing is that exposure is not enough. Put it on repeat. How many people hate the radio station? Oh God, every time I put on that station, I hear the same song over and over and over again. Miley Cyrus, or what is that? Call Me Maybe. Call Me Maybe, right? Like, don't you? Every summer there's a hit. It's like, oh my God, I have to get this out of my head, right? They're putting it on repeat because that's how you learn the brand. That's how you learn what that company's all about. So your message, what you do, if you're, for instance, Derek Halpern did a great thing in getting recognized in the marketing industry because he went on industry, influential people's websites, and he critiqued their website and showed them how to get more conversions. Well, guess what? Those people were happy, number one, to employ his knowledge, make use of it, and then they started promoting him to everybody else. And he did it repeatedly. It was like he was on tour. And he did it until he was so tired of doing that, he had to find something else to do. So that's the key to putting it on repeat. Don't just stop at like, oh, I had one big blog that, shouted out my praises. Keep going. Keep going. So, to sum it up, putting your brand's hit-making formulas together. First, prepare. Do your research. Second, position. Create your edge. Third, produce your hit. Put it all together. Get your values together. Put it out there. What makes you different? And then final, promote. And then one other thing that a A&R rep thinks to themselves, and one of the things that you might be thinking too, like I brought up like Carly Jensen, I think her name, right? Right? Call me baby. Come on, that girl's gonna be one hit wonder. I really need to break it to her, right? So there are times where you're gonna put a hit and you might get, traction, but how do you avoid becoming a one-hit wonder? So you have to constantly test and retest, position, reposition, know what's out there, consistently get your message out there. A lot of artists are popular and then they take a break, a mental break if you're like Mariah Carey, right? But like they take a break and then they have a really hard time getting back in. They really have to find another hit to get back in. So, don't take a break, especially if you're starting a business, you have to be able to go the distance. So I'm going to leave you with one thought, that the A&R rep of what they look for, they're looking for an artist with drive and commitment. You must be committed to your brand and committed to results. And I'm going to end with another Philly native, Will Smith. And I want you to listen to what he says in this quick hit. It's like 30 seconds, I promise. Right? But I want you to listen to what he says. And I want you to take that, think like an A&R rep, and apply it to your brand. It'll take a minute, like the other one.
The only thing that I see that is distinctly different about me is I'm not afraid to die on a treadmill. Right? I will run.
You will not be outworked.
I will not be outworked. Period. You might have more talent than me. You might be smarter than me. You might be sexier than me. You might do all of those things you got it on me in 9 categories. But if we get on the treadmill together, right, there's 2 things. You're getting off first, or I'm going to die.
I'm going to put up my contact information and a new project that I'm working on called Hustle and Soul. And Hustle and Soul is what I call the ultimate mastermind for people that want to create distinctive experiences in business and life. Because one thing that I've learned along the way is that life is short, right? Let's be cliche here, that would totally fail. That's very passive, right? But life is short. I lost both my parents. I know that when it comes down to things, if I'm going to make a memory, I'm going to choose the best memory in life. That's what I'm going to select. So for me, I understand it's all about experiences. I'm going to create the best experience in my company, and I'm going to create the best experience in my personal life. So Hustle and Soul is for tenacious entrepreneurs that feel the same way and want to mastermind around that idea. It's a Facebook group. Just go look up Hustle and Soul if you're interested. And then about me, brand strategist, miracle savant, right? Turning tenacious entrepreneurs into profitable brands. I offer coaching It's called Harmonizer Sessions, where I work one-on-one with only one entrepreneur at a time and positioning their brand strategy and creating that entire difference between their brand and other brands. So you can find that out there. KimberlyBordonaro.com. If you want to stalk me, I'm on Twitter, Brandspiration. Just look up Brandspiration and find me. And that's it. Questions? Do we have time for questions? I kind of talked
A few questions, sure.
Sorry, guys. Yeah. Any questions? Is that good?
Wow, you covered so much.
I sucked, right? Because I'm like, oh my god, I like, you know, I'm in Utah, I need a drink.
No, you're right. I really like your inference to music. Okay, a lot of us can relate to that. We certainly have a lot of like superstars that we like paid money and bought their stuff. So that makes a lot of sense to me. It's just process and applying what we do to that.
Yeah, that's really where brand strategy comes into play. A lot of entrepreneurs really think about that secondary. They're so, fascinated by what they're doing. They just want to get it out there, and they think like, I just need to scale this and make it bigger before I think about my brand strategy or hire somebody to help me, or, and that's actually really stupid. Because then you're going to probably fail. You don't have a plan into place. And, within my industry, I become known to brand the branders, because even as a branding professional, it's very hard to hold up the mirror to yourself and look at yourself objectively, which is what the A&R perspective is. So, so keep that in mind, that you really need to look at yourself objectively.
Kimberly, Jake here. So I do visual identity and branding. I don't do all of it, but just that certain portion of it with clients. And one of the biggest challenges I have is steering them in a direction that will differentiate. Because all they want to do is copycat. What do you do, when you work with your clients to help them realize that that is such an important thing, and to not, if they're doing blues and yellow or whatever it might be?
I tell them, I only take on people that I know will do success. You know what I mean?
Good enough to choose?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I'm very particular in who I choose. And it's not to say that, just because somebody wants to copy somebody that they're not going to be successful. Like I said, some people get limited in success with that. But when someone's working with me, it's because they absolutely know that I'm there to differentiate them and create a personality and experience to their brand that's different than anything out there. And so I've positioned myself that way. So that's how I make that. But yes, I still do have people that come and I'm like,
So you're just kind of weeding them out before they even come to you in a lot of ways.
I don't want to work with anybody that's going to make me look bad.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Kimberly, you talked about street coding. How do you approach that in a professional way?
So like I said, in a professional way, you don't want to label an individual. Unless you're like Donald Trump, who's known as an asshole, right? I curse a lot, so it's LA code. But that's his brand. So yeah, so that's like what he does. He wants to be very reactive. He's kind of like the villain, To do it in a professional way, number one is coming up with a different concept. So if everybody's going left, you go right, that will help you position differently and also create some controversy there. The key is, you can't just make things up. You can just be like, oh yeah. Like sometimes things really work, Like, come on, the idea of looking at yourself objectively, that's been around since the dawn of time. I know this, I have been around since the dawn of time. Give or take. But so the thing is that, the A&R perspective is just my different take on it. It's my own individual way of explaining a concept. That's polarizing, because people will look at me and say, that girl is crazy. Is she up there wearing a shirt that says, thanks to that made me do it? And who does she think she is telling me about marketing and branding? Because that girl is crazy, right? I love people like that. They're not my clients, but that makes me reactive, because then I have other clients and I reach out to other people, major people in my industry, for instance, that love the Beasty Boys, and I create relationships, and I have something to talk about with them. So yes, that's how you do it in a professional also understanding what your brand is all about and what the personality of the brand. My brand is playful, the entertainer. Not everybody's like that. A lot of people in my industry want to be the sage, like the all-knowing guru, or they want to be the rebel. All cats come with me. I'm like, hey, let's just have some fun. So that's also another way of doing it, understanding what your personality is and kind of creating some surprise, out of that.
One more. Think about a company, any type of company or a bank or a startup where you've got a designer, hopefully, you've got programmers, you've got biz dev folks. We're a big company, you've got the CEO. You've got all these people playing different roles, and in my opinion, it's everyone's job to be brand aware, but there are no tools or any type of documentation or help to tell everyone within that organization what that brand means and how to use it. Everyone from support, anybody that reaches out should know the brand. And so my question is,
how do you do that?
Yeah, do you have tools that help like explore the brand and explain it? And then
yeah, what I do when someone works with me, there's a number of things that we do. I put together a brand foundation one sheet. That's a high-level overview of what the brand is all about. So an executive, like the CEO or the marketing director, whoever, can make on-brand decisions for the company and always know what the company's about. We also create a brand style guide. And a brand style guide, and you'll know this from an image consultant, or from an image perspective, talks about the brand, what the look of the brand is, and how to use a logo in different situations. I take it a step further and also talk about the voice of the brand, the personality of the brand, the main marketing messages of the brand, and we look at brand experience from point A to point Z of a customer going through your pipeline. What are those different experiences? Who are they interacting with? How can they communicate your brand next? Now, an individual consultant isn't going to have like a huge, we're not going to be like, oh my God, you guys are, Best Buy, right? But if you go to Best Buy and you look up Best Buy brand style guide, that's an excellent example of a company that puts out a brand style guide that makes it very specific from point A to point Z what their brand is all about. So everybody in the community, the culture is always on brand.
Thank you for joining us today on Outlier On Air. Visit our website at outliermagazine.co where you'll find the written notes to this presentation. Also, we were able to go on a hike with Kimberly and her husband and do a little behind-the-scenes interview in Zion National Park. Check that out at outliermagazine.co.